Yo, 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 what is happening, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Lenko Show with me. I am Alex Lenkowski, and today I'm joined by my brother. His name is Alex Lenkowski. Say hello.
Hi,
Yeah, nice.
Chris pretending to be me again. Why would you pretend to be me? Why would you want to do that?
Chris, why are you trying to confuse everyone?
Fraudulent.
So, today, we are gathered here today, people, because we're going to do a little bit of troubleshooting again. So, last time we did some myth busting, that was continued. Today, we are going to go through some of the most common, let's say, barriers for exercise or reasons why people are not exercising or training. And we're going to debunk them. We're going to tell you how you're just procrastinating and making excuses because it makes it easier than accepting the reality of just enduring and doing what you know you need to do. Isn't that right?
That's absolutely correct. Basically, telling you all the shit you already know and making you feel bad about it. That's what we're aiming to do. We want you to feel really, really bad about listening to this episode. Speaking of feeling bad, Chris, that for those of you watching on YouTube, that chap over your left shoulder looks like he's had better days.
So, this is Donald Trump, and this is a Skellington.
So, for those of you who are not watching on YouTube and you are listening on your podcast player, you basically have a mini mannequin of, as you called him, Donald Trump.
Yeah, it is. It's
Yeah.
Donald Trump.
So, it's a mini Donald Trump giving a piggyback to a skeleton that, go on,
He's on a skateboard.
on a skateboard.
Yeah.
Excellent. Donald Trump giving a piggyback to a skeleton on a skateboard. Why?
Yeah. Truthfully, I'm currently sat in the back room of our gym. It's just a bit noisy to be anywhere near the front. And this is what we have in the back of our staff room. And I don't know where Donald Trump came from, nor do I know where the skeleton came from. What I do know is that they are here to stay, and that is the position they have been put in. And I wouldn't have it any other way.
Nope. Looks good. I like it. Maybe they can sponsor the show.
Maybe
Maybe they could host it next week.
maybe. Although the skeleton doesn't say much.
Donald Trump would be great entertainment, though. Would you like to be a guest? I'd love to get Donald Trump on here. Although we would definitely get labelled as a right wing fascist podcast then, which is that's not what we are. We're all about elite human health, performance, and transformation. So today's topic, we're essentially like, obviously we know barriers exist that stop people from exercising and people can use excuses and blah, blah, blah. So we're going to break a few of those down, dig into them a little bit. But my first question for you, Chris, have you ever had a session where you just thought, nah, fuck it?
What, felt like I couldn't be bothered doing it?
Yeah.
No, I've never had that. I'm kidding, everybody. I'm kidding. If you are watching on YouTube, first of all, well done. And second of all, you will have seen that I was being sarcastic. However, for those of you listening, I was being sarcastic. I've had that countless times, and this is why we're going through the barriers and stuff today. And you're going to hear our opinions, and this is why we like getting Alex to just tell you guys how it is. Because if you guys understand kind of our train of thought and how we think about things, then perhaps you will start adopting similar thoughts, and therefore you will start producing somewhat similar behaviors and actions. So, in answer to your question, yes, I feel like that frequently. But I do the workout regardless.
Yeah.
What about you?
How do you get beyond that? That's the question. How do you get beyond that when you have the thought? Because I have them too, where you think, or you see a session and you think, oh, not today, please, not today. How do you personally get past that?
I feel like there's a hard answer and there's an easy answer. The easy answer is there's no getting past it. You just do it anyway. That's it. It's as simple as it is what you do. It's, I guess, part of my identity in many ways. Like I train, like that's what I do. I like health and I like fitness, and I don't really. I'd be more upset if I was missing workouts than if I was overdoing workouts. But the easy answer is that there's not really a huge load of thought about it. It's just, it is what it is, and that's what I'm doing because it's part of who I am and what I do. And then the other, I guess, is just when you're getting to that stage. So there was a time and a period whereby, for people who are listening and listened to the episode a few episodes ago, where we were talking about when I first started training, I've not always been that way. When I first started, I definitely would have, if I didn't feel like it, I wouldn't have bothered with it. And I suppose this is where the hard answer comes into place. It's finding what is your long-term priority and what's important to you, and making it that important to you in those moments and just going along anyway. I think it was easier for me back then because when I was in the beginning stages, I wasn't alone. I was doing it with my best mate, which certainly helped. So for anyone who's listening, a bit of education for you there, a bit of advice for you there. If you are in the beginning phases of training and you are really struggling to get some level of motivation, do it with a friend. Do it with a good friend who will make it more enjoyable for you. You can have a laugh, you can have a joke, you can turn it into a social event if you want. We used to walk down together and tell jokes and talk shit, and then spend like 2.5 hours there talking shit and doing a workout. So it made it loads easier. So that was the initial process, and then eventually it just becomes part of what you do and who you are.
Yeah, I think that, excuse me, that's ultimately the long-term goal, isn't it? To make it part of your identity, part of your routine, part of just what you do and who you are as a person. Because if you look after yourself and you show up in a healthy, physically fit, mentally well state day in, day out, your life is going to improve. It's going to be better. Whereas if you're kind of trying to build a bit of momentum in the first place, it can be quite difficult, which is where these barriers, these obstructions, things come in, and then you allow your feelings to override and dictate. And we all know feelings are a very, very poor way to dictate your actions. So don't allow your feelings to dictate your actions, because we know that it doesn't result in anything useful. Like, if anything, it can be very, very negative in terms of its consequences. So don't allow your feelings to become the dictator. Make sure that you take deliberate action, thoughtful action, mindful action, and you pay attention to what you're actually aiming to achieve at the end of the day. So I think you said there, like, how do you make it part of what you do? And you touched on a couple of things. I think number one, you need to understand why it's important. Why is it important in the grand scheme of things? Why is it important in the overall picture for your life? What does it mean to you? What does it mean to the people around you? How does it influence the people around you in terms of showing them how to live and how to be successful? And number two, prioritize it. Simple as that. Like, make it a priority, make it important, because you understand its importance and you understand where it fits in the big picture. Or if not, you need to help someone. You need to get someone to help you see that, and then actually make it a priority. Build it into your daily structure, your routine, your weekly routine. If you go in 2, 3, 4 times a week, build it into your routine. And then number three, I've put set yourself up for success. And I mean, actually organize yourself, like take responsibility for either organizing your gym kit, training with a coach, a trainer, going with a gym partner. Make sure your gym bag's packed the night before. Make it easy for yourself. Like, if you're going to go on the way before work, go and do that. If you need to organize childcare or someone to look after the kids, or you need to go and do it whilst the kids are still asleep kind of thing. If you need to set up a little home workout or a home studio, take responsibility for each of those things. If it's something that you want to do, and it doesn't have to be going to the gym all the time. It could be something as simple as going for a 20-minute walk. Could be something as simple as just going for a run, doing something different to what you normally do, and breaking the habit, breaking the cycle and the patterns that you've currently got that aren't serving you. If you're currently not happy with your state of life and you need to put these new things into place, you have to break those habits and those patterns.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything to add to that. And you know what? I actually think if we're pre-framing there, those answers are going to be no different to any of the other barriers. All barriers that has answered it already. There's a few things that we might add to, but prioritize, make it like number one. And you know what? It actually made me think a little bit about. I think it was Eric Thomas who originally said this, but I'm not sure if you've heard this quote before. He was saying about imagine if you'd been in a such word a pretty bad accident and you were put into a coma for 5 years, and you woke up and you'd not got your short-term memory. And then when you woke up, imagine the difference between if they told you that you were a primary school teacher. You would carry yourself a certain way, you would live your life to a certain set of standards, and you would be who you thought you were because you were trying to fit that identity again. Versus imagine the difference if they told you that you were a Navy SEAL. You would have a higher expectation of yourself, you would have higher personal values and standards. And not there's anything wrong with primary school teachers, by the way, and I'm sure there's primary school teachers out there who have very fucking high standards. Like, it's a tough job. But the point was he was making was along the lines of if you woke up thinking that you were a Navy SEAL and you were thinking that you were the cream of the crop, the best of the best, you would carry yourself much differently to if you were in another profession, etc. Because that's who you need to be, and that is who you would identify as. And if you can set yourself up and set your environment up in a way that is essentially you are the Navy SEAL of whatever your goals need to be, you're already well on your way.
Speaking of Navy SEALs, I was watching a video yesterday. You know, our old favorite pal, Dave Goggins, burn the boats. Who's going to carry the boats and the logs? Sorry, the dog's just looking at me in a weird way. He's like, what are you on about, boats and logs? I'll carry a stick for you, but not a boat. But they'd done, I think it was before he released one of his books, and there was the guy that was being interviewed was talking like he ran a lab and he was doing loads of psychological testing on people, and it was all based around fear and things like that. And I think I don't know whether he'd been in touch with Goggins or somehow or whatever, you know, the conversation they were having. He was like, where are you? He was like, I'm in New York. He was like, what are you doing? He was like, I'm out running. And it was like 3:30 a.m. And he's like, the guy is literally the living embodiment of doing what you say you're going to do, living with integrity, and actually, you know, everything that you put out there, it is 100% him. He is 100% legit. We'll go out and do those things. And you can tell, like, the vibe that you get from him is exactly that. That comes through, that carries over. And he was looking at sort of what motivates you and drives you and what helps you get beyond fear. And he was talking about how someone like Goggins has figured out that, you know, everyone says that you need to do things from a place of compassion and love and joy, and it's all hairy-fairy kind of very, I want to say something, but I don't really know how to phrase it the right way. It's all very soft and gooey. And when you think in terms of sometimes understanding that you need to get down in the weeds, get your hands dirty, and behave in a manner that is very, very primal, the motivation has to come from somewhere else. And it's okay to take the motivation from somewhere else. Like if you've had a real tough upbringing, if you've had to fight, if you've had to fend for yourself, like embrace that, use it, harness it, like use that as motivation rather than just thinking about, you know, all the namby-pamby nice stuff. I'll have to go through it and get it in more detail, but that was essentially the cut and thrust of it. It's like if you're going into war, if you're going into battle, you have to be prepared to go into a dark place.
Yeah, the more you can embody who you are trying to be and what you're trying to emulate, the closer you are to your own truths anyway. So the less conflict you're going to be in. Although I think that man might be a very conflicted man.
It's like So like, if I was to ask you this question, if I was to say to you, like, right, okay, clearly for you, working out is important, right? Yeah.
Yes.
You have to speak as a podcast, Chris. Yeah. Don't just nod. So working out for you is important. What do you think your relationship is like? Your fiance, your future wife. What do you think your relationship would be like if you didn't value working out and training?
That's an interesting question because I've not got much else going for me, Alex.
So what do you think it'd be like?
It's a very good question. I'd probably have more time for it.
All right, without going into a thing that's too shallow, do you think your relationship would be the same if you were a
Yes.
little bit? If
I
you
understand what you really mean. I wouldn't. So for me, it shaped who I am, and it is kind of like part of my identity. And it's not specifically about looking good at all. I've definitely been there, but now it's about how healthy I am and how I perform. And for me, whilst I don't have the diagnosis, I smell of ADHD. And if I don't exercise, I can be very, very annoying.
Chris,
Very, very.
Chris, what are you saying there about people being annoying? Chris, like what you, I need to cut you off. What you're saying about people being annoying is just fucking normal. It's just not, and I'm going to get into the ADHD stuff because I'm going to get my good mate, Luke Neal, that ADHD guy. I'm going to be speaking to him, I think tomorrow. I'm going to record another podcast that's going to come out very, very soon. I'm going to speak to him about what he's doing because he's training as an ADHD coach. You haven't got ADHD, bro. You haven't. Like, I don't know why you've got you said you stink of it. Anyway, the question I want to go back to, right? You said you stink of ADHD, so shut up. The question I want to go back to is if you were a little bit flabby and you didn't have mint triceps and you couldn't see your abs and then you couldn't perform in the bedroom, what impact does that have on your relationship, do you think?
A negative one.
And why is that?
Well, I think the main thing is more psychological. For me, it's definitely more psychological than physical. And it's the things like I was saying before my brother decided to cut me off. But then also it's confidence and confidence as well. For me, a big one. So I think confidence is born out of competence, right? And this is a big thing that I've been saying to my clients over the last few weeks. For me, I feel a lot of confidence by becoming competent in looking after myself in a physical, mental, and emotional manner. And all training sessions, whilst being physical, are also very, very mental. It's the difference, and I actually think it's a big difference between exercising and then training. And it's the mentality of I'm doing something to get better. And if you are trying to do something to get better rather than just doing something, it becomes a mental exercise because you are going into the uncomfortable and you have to face yourself and you have to face pain and fear and all your limiting beliefs and all the barriers that we're going through. And you have to learn to overcome those. And aside from, yes, not being able to perform as well physically and things like that, also it's a clear, what's the word I'm looking for? Indicator to her that I value myself quite highly, and therefore she values me highly as well. And if I didn't value myself highly and I didn't look after myself, how the fuck would I expect her to value me highly? Like, there'd be a very, very clear imbalance there.
Yeah.
So
I think that self-esteem, valuing yourself, having yourself as a higher priority and valuing, so like the way you think, the way you look, like even if, if you are going to get all image related, simply looking after that is a good thing. I think we're being told at the minute that it's not a good thing and it's like, it can be a negative, which is where all the body positivity comes in, where, you can pretend that everything's great and amazing, even though you're a fucking mess. I was listening to a GP, and I've recorded a video on my YouTube channel for this. I was listening to a GP, UK doctor. She was being interviewed on national radio quite a few months ago, and I got the footage sent through to me. And she was saying that basically we all have a predetermined weight. There is nothing we can do about it. Making a big deal out of fat loss and weight loss isn't a good thing. And health and longevity is not improved through fat loss and weight loss. And I've essentially had to argue the toss the other way because she's completely wrong. She's so misguided and completely neglects any actual science and data collection based on long-term studies, short-term studies, mental health studies, and obviously like my own personal experience. You have, if you value yourself and you look after yourself, other people around you, close to you, like your missus, she works out, she trains, mine, same thing. It's okay to actually take time out to go and look after yourself. And the other thing that I wanted to circle back to was the Goggins stuff. And in terms of getting your mindset right? So controlling your mind with your mind is very, very difficult. Like we were talking before about emotions, like getting a hang of your emotions and then controlling your emotions, your mindset. Very, very tough. Takes a lot of practice, a lot of time, a lot of effort. And even then, you're not necessarily likely to be successful. Like it's like swimming upstream. Very, very tough. And what Goggins has figured out, and I've been to the Tony Robbins Unleash the Power Within, been to his seminar. I think have you done Tony Robbins?
Yeah, I've been using
it. Yeah. So like in any moment, the thing that you can lead with is your physiology. Changing the way you breathe in, focusing on your posture, and then moving. Ultimately, those three things, if you do those three things, you're more likely to get a positive result. So if you're lying in bed first thing in the morning and you think, oh, fuck, raining outside, can't be asked going for a run, don't want to walk the dog or don't want to go to the gym because it's going to be cold. First thing, control your breathing. Second thing, think about your physiology, sort your posture out, sort your body language out, and then just move. And if you take that first step, your mindset will follow very, very quickly as well. Like how many times have you started a training session? I'm sure everyone listening to this, if you're listening to this, you will have been in this situation where you didn't feel like running, but you started off with a bit of a walk, you broke into a jog, and then 20, 30 minutes later, you think, fucking hell, like I feel mint. Same thing with workouts. Like you get into a messy, sticky training session, you might feel crap to begin with, but the more you move, your mindset follows and everything changes after that. And then you set yourself up and you have a great day. Like a lot of people love training in the morning because it sets themselves up for the day. Move first.
Yeah, absolutely. Likewise, you can work in the opposite way. You can hyper focus on the way that you're feeling, and that will affect your physiology. Even when you are moving, your movement will still adapt your physiology somewhat. But if you are feeling shit and you convince yourself that you're feeling shit, you will move like you feel shit as well. So you've got to be very careful with it. Do the movement first, worry about the motion afterwards. And the other side of that as well is fucking action. Sorry, there's no need to swear there. Sorry, everyone. Action is far better than no action. Action is better than planning. Action is better than preparation. Action is better than procrastination. In fact, for most of you out there, myself including, planning and preparation, and my brother's going to nod along to this because he knows that planning and preparation do not take part in my life. Planning and preparation, for most of us, is just another form of procrastination. It makes us feel better because it makes us feel like we're actually doing something productive when you're not. You're just avoiding doing the thing. And that is the one thing you really need to do. Do the thing, even if it's imperfect. Go out and do it.
Yeah.
Standardize before you optimize.
One of the other questions I want to know, what are some of the main things that you hear people struggling with? Like what stops them?
As in the main barriers?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So the first one that you asked about motivation is a huge one for our members here. People say about, actually, this is usually for prospective clients. So this is usually when you sit down in this consultation and it's, I don't have the motivation, which is why I think I need someone to hold me accountable. That's one of the biggest ones, and we'll dissect that in a few minutes. The other ones will be things like gyms being intimidating, and then it requiring too much effort and energy. And then the other one would probably be, which I guess is alongside that, lack of time. And then I guess alongside the gym being intimidating, it will be mainly self-doubt and anxiety, social factors, things about what they think people are going to think about them when they're training, or if they go and do the things that they're worried about doing, etc., or when they're doing it. So they would be the main ones. So I think the first one that I said about there was motivation, right? Which we actually touched on at the start already.
Yeah.
But I think for most people, it's a lot of them say, I struggle with motivation. I need motivation. I need someone else to hold me accountable and make sure that I'm doing what I need to do. Which, like, I mean, I don't want to say that I'm a glorified hand holder, but sometimes that is what people need. Sometimes people need to be told, you know what, like, you fucking said that you wanted this. You said that you were going to do this. Shall we do it? And you know what else as well, Alex? Do you ever think about things like this, right? I've had conversations like this with clients because I've built a good relationship with them, because a lot of the people I work with, I've worked with for 5+ years now. It gets to the stage where when they say things like that and they'll come out with a barrier or an excuse or a reason why not, or a justification, as it usually is, because my guys are pretty clever, so it's usually just a sophisticated justification, which is an excuse. And they'll say something, and then I will just go along with it as though, like, yeah, okay. So we play this game of, like, how much would you respect me as your trainer and your coach? And I'm opening this as an invitation to all the people listening. How much would you respect me as your trainer and your coach? And definitely, even more so, how much would you respect Alex as your trainer and your coach? Because Alex is, well, very similar to me. Very more, I would say you're a bit more direct in your approach and what you would say. You would tell people how it really is, whereas I would do a little bit more of for, like, exploring it and venturing through it, which probably, wastes a bit more time.
You enjoy doing a lot more of what I call fucking around. I think, yeah, you kind of like tending to the situation, like picking out some of the weeds, whereas I'm more happy to just go in with a massive bulldozer and just scrap it all up and go, like, fuck it. There you go.
I love, and neither way is right or wrong. Like, I think your way definitely gets through things faster.
You're just more delicate than I am with dealing with those situations. You're a little bit more like precision, like softly. I'm kind of.
But yeah, so on that, the questions are like, how much would the people listening, the audience or the viewers that are watching, how much would you respect me or Alex as a coach if you came to us and you said one day, listen, like, I know we said that this is what we're working towards. Let's just use X as an example. I'm working towards X. I know we said we're working towards X, but I've just not felt like it over the last few days. I've lost a bit of motivation, so I think I'm just going to take a week off and just chill out and relax. Now, I want you to imagine that me or Alex, both of us, just sitting around going, you know what, dude? It's fucking fine. You're having a really hard time at the moment. And I think what you need to do is you just need to just, like, do nothing, go home, relax, chill, sit on the sofa, watch some TV, do things that you think you need to do to recover, be kind to yourself, and then we can go again next week. Versus, comparatively, a response that could be, you know what, I get it, it's tough, but you fucking said that you were going to do this, and we've been here before, you've been here before, where we get 6%, 7%, 8%, 40%, however far you are through the journey. And then the excuses start creeping in, or reasons why not to carry on start creeping in. And then you get satisfied with being where you're at and then fucking stopping. Are we going to carry on that way, or are we just going to finish it off and see it through to the very fucking end and just stick it out? Would you feel better as a person for sticking it out all the way through to the end and then looking back and being like, right, okay, this is what we're going to do next, etc.? Which one would you respect more of an answer?
Do you know what? I think it depends on context in that situation.
Well, I think both are equally right, both are
Yeah.
equally wrong. But one's more of a coach and one's more of a friend.
Yeah. I think certainly, well, I better get this right, I don't know. I think certainly the friendship one would be like, oh, do you know what? Yeah, go on, take a week off, chill out, just relax. Or you can just fucking foot down and work through it and I'll help you do it.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
that's the approach that I'd take. Like sometimes, for me, this is a big thing that I've been speaking about on social media this week in terms of knowing when to take your foot off the gas and go hard on your recovery in between sessions and training around certain issues as opposed to just going, I'm just going to chill out in bed for a week kind of thing, sit around on FIFA.
Yeah. So my question would be, let's say it was you that posed the question to me, which response would you want to hear?
I'd go for the second one. Like,
And
fuck it.
that's
Oh, let's carry on. Let's plow through. Say that again.
is that the response that you would give to someone as well?
Yeah. Yeah. Depending on the
So
situation and the scenario, like sometimes I think that because I have had a couple of situations where a client has been absolutely battered, and sometimes I actually factor this into their program as well, where I go, right, okay, you're on a complete deload week, like you're banged up, you've had a tough.
let's think contextually then, it's just someone's doing generic goal X. They've they've just got life going on. And it's not like, people have been hit by buses and close relatives are in trauma and things like that. It's just the generic struggles of everyday life that everyone goes through. Your answer will be the second. And what I think is that's exactly why people go to you specifically for coaching. Like that's why people work with you because they don't want the fluff around the sides. They want you to just fucking help them get it done. And that's what you would do as well in those situations, which is why you've got the results that you've got. And that's why I've got the results that I've got. So why would I give advice to someone that would be different to what I would do or what you would do contextually in situations like that? Just to be clear, as Alex was saying there are always situations where sometimes you do need to take a fucking week off. But those situations are not just the generic struggles of everyday life. Unless you've allowed everything to overwhelm you and you've not dealt with it over a period of time, and you are just tragically fucking yourself up and not recovering from workouts. But
Yeah.
if that is the case, that's happened over a period of time. That's not happened over 1 day or 2 days or 3 days or 4 days. That's happened over you not dealing with the situations that you are being confronted with and that you need to deal with immediately. In which case, that's another conversation that needs to be had.
I think it's precisely that. It's not letting the everyday, the little shit and the mini excuses become those things, not letting them become excuses, because otherwise they'll be cropping up all the time and you'll end up getting nothing done. You'll never get the results that you want. And you'll just allow these little things to crop up all the time. Like, oh, I've got to do so-and-so from school. I've got to get this from school. I've got to drop the kids here. I've got to go and get shopping. I've got to do this, that, the other. Well, unfortunately, like life happens, lots of things happen. And sometimes things come at you very, very quickly and unexpectedly. But you have to, the more organized you are, the more able you are, or the more ability you have to adapt on the fly and still execute. And it's just about not letting those little things get in the way and stop you. The next thing that you mentioned, intimidating Jim.
Yep.
We're not about like scaring someone called Jim, but the intimidating environment where you're trading out. I get this. I understand this to the point where like I've actually been in that situation where I thought, oh, like, am I welcome? Am I allowed to be? Can I put my bag there? Is there anyone using that equipment? Like, what do I do? What's the protocol? Where's this? Where's the changing rooms? Where's the water fountain? How do you overcome that?
Again, we've got a hard answer and a soft answer here. Which one do you want first?
I don't want the soft one. I'm not interested.
Well, then the hard answer is just level yourself the fuck up and see yourself as being someone who belongs in that place. That's it. I think one of the big things with this is it's based on whatever the culture is in wherever you are going. And if there's a culture of people throwing fucking weights around and acting hard and pretending they're big, and by big I mean like people trying to be intimidating, etc., then you're well within your rights to feel intimidated. And I think going into a new place, you're always going to feel that way anyway, because it's just fucking uncomfortable. It's new. It's not necessarily intimidating. It's just uncomfortable because you don't know where the fucking toilets are. You don't know where to put your bag. You don't know anyone necessarily. So you're always going to feel somewhat that way anyway. But, you know, this is the game. This is the life. And if you want to make that part of your life and you want to spend some time there and you want to level yourself up by going to the gym or going to that particular facility, or it's the same for shops. If I had it where you go into a certain shop and you're like, oh, if I'm being judged by being here, etc. The clue is you don't know. You have decided in your mind that you are being judged. Firstly, from a psychological perspective, you have decided that you are being judged. You might not be being judged. And secondly, if you are being judged, it says fuck all about you and it says more about the other person. So there's two reasons to not really worry about that there. So go in and get your shit done anyway. And it's like the answer to the first one. This is a hard answer, by the way, guys. Same answer to the first one. Prioritize what you're doing. Are you there because you want to make some new friends? If you're there to make some new friends, then don't fucking spend your time looking at the people that are intimidating you. Or if you really want to make some new friends, and that's your priority, don't fucking speak to the guys that are intimidating you, and you'll find out that they are just like you. They are trying to be intimidating because they're actually all soft and squishy on the inside, and they just want to be loved because we all just want to be fucking loved and hugged. That's it. Alex is laughing. What do you say, bro?
Do you know what I've actually written down here? You can see this on my notepad, actually. I'm going to show you on the screen. So for those of you watching on YouTube, all meatheads are lost, lonely hearts. That's the truth. That is fact. Meatheads are just lost, lonely hearts. We're all just in need of a little bit of loving. I think everyone feels in that, like you say, everyone feels in that same situation. And the other thing that I've written above that was you are exactly where you need to be. So bear that in mind. And there's probably other things with regards to the environment itself that it's not just intimidating. Like sometimes the intimidation can come just from how busy it is. And then your ability to access certain kits, certain equipment, and also not knowing what you're doing, not being confident in the environment. So a couple of things that you could possibly change here. Can you look at going at a different time? Yes or no? If not, no excuse. You just got to go ahead with the time that suits and the time that works in your diary. If that is the case, is there anything within that time that will make you more comfortable? For example, if it's really busy, can you go and work out with a mate? Could you get a trainer? Could you get a coach? Could you actually, be brave enough and have the courage to fucking say, hey, how's everything going? Do you mind if I join in on with you on this? Like, it's quite busy in here tonight and I just want to get this done. Could we do that? And then ultimately make friends. That could be another good positive. Can you increase your skill and competency to build your confidence in that environment as well? I think that's another thing that's quite simple to hit on. Like have you got a plan? Have you got a way of executing the plan? Do you understand when you know what you need to be doing? If that's the case, outsource that, get a coach, get a trainer, and then get a workout partner. And automatically then you start building your confidence, your competency, and your overall skill level and your ability to actually go out, train at that time, and do what you need to do. Set yourself up for the win.
Yeah. No further additional comments to that one.
Wicked. Then I think your next one was effort and energy. Like it is a lot of effort to go and train sometimes, isn't it? And it takes a lot of energy, physical energy, mental energy. I've been in a position where I write a lot of my own training plans. That takes energy writing it in the first place. And by the time I've written it, I feel like, I feel like I've actually done it. And then when you look at it the next day and you think, why the fuck have I put myself in for this? Like, what am I thinking here? Like, honestly, right? Last week, one of the things I'd written on my plan was to do, just as a bit of a baseline assessment, was a maximum number of chin-ups in 10 minutes. Mike, honestly, I got like 4 minutes in and I thought, what the fuck am I doing here? It was not nice.
What? Do you remember when you did 2017 in 2017?
Yeah, I do. I remember that very well. I was getting flashbacks. Getting flashbacks.
By the way, guys, so me and Alex obviously fucking love training. Like, we've been doing it for years and years, and we've said that it's part of who we are and what we do. And we still feel like that. So if you guys are newer to training, or you don't have that as part of your identity now, or you don't prioritize it as much, you are going to feel that even more so. So it's more important to have strategies to actually deal with that and overcome that. And you're going to see it as more effort and more energy, because you're probably going to worry about it more, and you'll have different strategies currently to deal with that, and they won't be as good in relation to ours getting you to where you need to get to. And I think a lot of the time that's where it is. Again, it's that prioritizing. It's like, yes, it is going to be effort, yes, it's going to be energy, but you are going to be expending effort and energy regardless. You can either point it in the direction that you're trying to go, or you can just dispel it and put it everywhere and just fucking be out on the sofa. So this is one of the big ones. One of the big ones, Alex, is I went inside that like it's secret. It's not a secret. That's not how I'm doing this. Well, we get this a lot. It's a lot of effort and a lot of energy. Okay, what would you be doing then? Well, I'll probably go home and watch TV, which actually gives you less energy, and you end up being able to put out less effort in the long run, because you are teaching your body to just fucking give out when you're tired and just lie on the sofa. And again, physiology, you just attract more of that. You're feeding your fucking sheep. You are just becoming more and more of a person who like needs to go home and lie down on the sofa after training.
Another great example of move first. Like, whatever you do, the mind will follow. Like, move first. If your movement is minimal and it involves lying down, chilling out, lying on the sofa, your mind is also going to relax into that. If your movement is, I'm going to get out for a walk, your mind is also going to elevate to that level. Great example. Thank you. Carry on.
You are very welcome. I don't remember where I was, to be honest, mate. I don't remember where I was.
Oh, fucked it. You were talking about effort and energy.
Yeah, I was effort and energy, and physiology. So I think just fucking accept that you're going to be wasting effort, you're going to be wasting energy. Regardless, you might as well not waste it and put it into what you actually need long term. Because funnily enough, when people say, I don't have the energy, I don't think they don't understand that we know as professionals, from the education that we've got and from the courses that we've done and from the science that's out there, that actually you're going to have more energy as a result of training. Like, has anyone out there listening or watching ever done like five-a-side football late at night, like 8 p.m. or something like that, and then struggled to sleep afterwards? Riding the fucking wave of energy afterwards. Like, you end up having more energy after. You surge of hormones, and you get more energy, like you feel better. And that's the reason why people do it first thing in the morning, because you have a surge of energy and feel better. It doesn't, the universe doesn't go, well, it's evening time now, so when he trains, we'll make him feel more tired straight after, and we won't give him the surge of hormones because it's night time. It doesn't do that. There are, I guess, things with melatonin, things like that. But with the actual food of the body and the physiology of the body, training is what training is, and it does what it does to the body. You will not feel worse for it. You will feel better for it.
So the statement, I don't have the energy, what if that is actually, in fact, simply describing your current state? Because as soon as you do start moving, that shifts, it changes. Because we know it's not true. Like, universally, like, you do have the energy. Unless you're actually dying, you've got the energy to move. You've got the energy to propel yourself and take action. But it's just your mind that isn't in the right place because you're currently sat fucking plonked doing nothing. So your mind also resembles what your body's doing. Whereas the flip side of that, like, think about it from this perspective. Like most people struggle to get up in the morning. Like you were saying, oh, what do I do if I can't get up to go and work out in the morning? Like, you know, how do I get up at 6 o'clock to go to the gym? Set a fucking alarm. Well, what if you were going on holiday and you had to be at the airport for 6 and you had to get up at 4:30? You can get up for that, and there's no difference. Like ultimately, the cherry on the cake, the purpose and the reason for doing so is a little bit more attractive, but it still requires the same energy to get out of bed first thing in the morning. And first thing, like the alarm goes off, you move. Move first. Mind next. The final one, Chris, the final one. Big one. Big one, this one. Time.
And dimmer.
I don't have time.
So, do you know what? Again, another hard answer here. And this relates to the second one, the previous one as well. In fact, it relates to all of them. If you don't have time, so I do a lot of psychological coaching. I utilize CBT, NLP, and other things, motivational interviewing, and all that stuff as well. You know, I quite a bit of training in that regard, because a lot of what we do is actually psychological, and then just the behaviors and actions that come off the back of it. If someone comes to me and they tell me they've not got time to train, and we are already embarked upon a training program, my question, in fact, my initial response to that statement would be, how the fuck have we got to the stage where you don't have time to train and you've decided to let someone know or decided to say it out loud on the day of a training session or the day that you are meant to train? Like, how do we get to that stage? To get to that stage might mean a last minute thought. It's an afterthought, which means it's an after decision, which means you're making a decision in the moment, which is emotional. That's naughty. So if you don't have time, if you genuinely don't have time, you don't have time to do a specific session or a workout that might be prescribed by me or Alex on True Coach, for example, which might be a 1 hour or a 90-minute session if you're doing a specialized thing. Like, that's fair enough. But not having time to train, like, just on the whole, means your entire life must be in turmoil. Because there's always going to be 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 15-minute bits where you can do certain things. Always. And you don't need to have bags of fucking time leaking out your arse. You just need to have little slots every now and then where you can get done what you need to get done. If you've got a really busy week and you've got tons of shit going on, which really does, like, so this happens frequently to me, and Alex will tell you, because Alex has to deal with me, and it's really tough. And Alex has to deal with me, and that's really tough. And I'm really shit with time management in the sense that I agree to lots of things that I probably can't commit to doing, but I always still manage to come back to doing certain things because I can find 5-minute slots and 10-minute slots and 15-minute slots here and there to make sure I'm still doing the things I need to be doing. So I did, here's an example, right? And I think this was Andrew Huberman who was talking about, I think he called them bite-sized workouts, which makes sense. And it sounds cute. So, you know, we'll go with it. It was like, if you've got a 10-minute break at work, and you really do care about training, you want to stay healthy, you want to stay fit, and you care about your physiology, and you care about your relationships, and you care about your confidence and competence, so they're all the things that come with you. Do 5 minutes of burpees, like moving around. Is it perfect? Fuck no. Is it useful to do every single day? Fuck no. But is it taking action and doing something when you know you need to? Yeah, absolutely. Do 5-minute bike ride, go out for a 5-minute walk, do a 5-minute run, do 2.5 minutes sprint out, 2.5 minutes sprint back. That'll get your heart rate up, put you up nicely. Do something like that. You won't be the same every day. Be creative with it. Fucking create some shit and enjoy it. The other thing would be, it's not needed for time, it's that you are fit with your time management, your priorities are all on the show as well. So you need to start creating time in getting rid of the stuff that you are doing that is not important to you, because you absolutely will be doing these things. So here's one of the things that I was talking about, and I know I'm rattling on a little bit here. I don't want to absorb too much of everyone's time, and I know that you'll be wanting to hear what Alex got to say as well. Your body lives in homeostasis, right? It likes being where it's. Anything out of the ordinary creates discomfort, stress, and anxiety. So if you were to try and change things, you are going to experience all of those. That's very, very normal. We can associate that with training because we understand that training is somewhat uncomfortable because of lactic and your lungs might be. But it's the same for nutrition. And guess what? It's the same for reorganizing other parts of your life too. If you're trying to grow a business, it's the same. If you are trying to get fitter, it's the same. If you're trying to get better at time management, it's the same. Because you are focusing more energy on one specific area. Agreed? You're looking at me like you're a little bit confused.
No, I agree. I agree 100%.
If you are working on something specific, there's going to be levels of discomfort because you are changing. You are literally changing. You want to talk about changing your mind? Like, that's what you're doing. You're being exposed to new ideas, which changes your neural circuitry. It's changing your mind. And then the experience of doing things changes your body as well. A big two-parter. So if you are struggling with time, you need to go through the discomfort of learning about time management and managing your time, which is something that I should probably do.
No, that's literally nail on the head. And I think it pretty much sums up today's episode. So I think the key theme to this is move first. Like, make movement your first option. Make that your first port of call. Like, I figured this out whilst I'm training my dog. Like, in terms of, it's very hard to kind of reward him for behavior if the dog, if he is kind of paralyzed into just sitting there and not doing anything. Like, at least if there's action, at least if there's stuff going on, I can give him a clue as to when he does something good, and I can also give him a clue to when he's doing something not so good. Whereas if there is nothing, if it's all inanimate, like, you've got nothing to work from. You've got nothing to work with. You know, if someone's coming into the gym 7 days a week and they're erratic and, you know, they're not getting results because they're training, but they're not doing the right things, they're not recovering right in between, you can coach that. You can work with that. Whereas if someone's not coming in at all, we can't help you. We simply cannot help you. Like, other than coming around to your house and leveraging you off the sofa with a fucking crowbar, which I'm not going to do, by the way. I have better things to do. You know, you're a grown fucking human. You can make your own life decisions. It's not for me to tell you exactly how to live, what to do, and how to behave. You can make your own decisions on these things, but ultimately move first. Whatever you do it with movement, do it with energy. I think energy is the number one thing that most people lack in the world and need to kind of be exposed to, because it's infectious. So attitude, energy, mentality, all of that ties into one. And then with regards to time, it's making everything a priority. It's making things important to you, making things important to you and the people around you. And if you can do that, you're on to a winner. The gym is looking snazzy as there, Chris.
Yeah, it's fucking beautiful.
Looking absolutely class. Very, very quiet as well.
Still, I'm the only one getting out.
You're the only one in there now.
Yeah.
10,000 square foot gym all to yourself. I'll have to come up one afternoon. I'll have to come up and we'll have to record the podcast together live in person.
Still the idea, especially so at this time. So up until probably 2, it's busy, but we don't have any class or PT sessions on at this time, which is why there's no one here right now. So the music can be turned down so people would be able to actually hear us. They won't have to go and hide.
Delightful. We'll look to make that happen. Anyway, for now, that concludes episode number 74. Chris, are you going to send me that Gusto link as well?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, I am.
As discussed in the previous episode. So there you go, people. Once again, thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in, supporting the show. supporting me and Chris. Like, we love like recording these episodes and just being able to, like, ultimately for us, it's a good chance to think out loud together, and hopefully we get some useful ideas and information across to you as well, because that's ultimately what it's all about. And we want to help people and move the world forward, as opposed to just sitting on the sidelines hoping that things will get better and people will actually be treated right and look after themselves and get the results they want. We want to actually help along with the process rather than just sit and hope. So if there's anything that you do need, make sure you get in touch with me and Chris. Drop us a message, speak to us on Instagram, Chris_Lenkowski_performance, and same for me, Alex_Lenkowski_performance. And check out the YouTube channel. Make sure you're following on there. Make sure you subscribe to that, because we're always putting new stuff out on there. Oh, well, I am. Chris, you will at some point. And yes, we will be back with another episode very, very soon. Till then, that's it from me, Chris.
Lenko out.